Hey there! Hi, YouTube. I haven't shared this link. I could be speaking to 0 people right now. I need to find this link and tweet it and Discord it. All the things. If you can read this and see this, please let me know. I feel like I could be speaking to nobody right now. I feel like I could be speaking to nobody. There we go. Okay, we got someone. Hi. How's everyone doing? Give me just one moment, please. My name is Nick. It's Friday night. I hope everyone had a productive week. All right, here we go. We're live, baby. I'm going to give you all my attention in the world in just one moment. Giving people a chance to settle in. Okay. Hey there. What's happening? Okay, here we go. I can see your chats. I see highs. I see hellos. I see howdies. I see yos. I see hollahs. Hi, everyone. My name is Nick. This is my special TGIF AMA hour, which may be a half hour. Not seeing a lot of AMAs in the chat, but I'm happy that you all could make it. It's Friday night. It's 8:08. My computer's telling me my phone has 20%, even though it's plugged in. It's not cool. Hopefully that's being solved. No, the AMA is for you all to ask me questions. When all else fails, I have a guitar. I've written a few songs on this guitar. Primordial Creatures asks, who is posting Weird Al images in the Discord? There's a lot in the Discord that I never click on. I don't know. I haven't seen any Weird Al images in the Discord. First question, do you have any questions for me? No. Tell me what you do when you're bored. I do this. Any chance of songs computer vinyl repress now that you're with Needle Juice? Highly likely. Maybe if there's a demand for it, I say why not? I think Needle Juice's game, as long as it is Weird game, and I think right now we're waiting to see how Swords does. So I would say if you guys want songs in the computer vinyl, I would say order Swords. I think that's going to be what seals the deal, maybe. Okay. Thomas Turtle says, hey, Nick, did you ever find a way to stop your cats from pissing on the bed? Because I have the same problem. And I did. We caught one in the act. Her name is Kira. She's right there. Cat cam. This is her domain. She's like Batman down here. She was pissing on the bed. We caught her in the act. And we took her to the vet. And it turned out she had a UTI. And we got her some meds. And it solved the problem. But recently she's been pissing in the carpet, which is a whole new struggle. And a whole new problem. Kira, yes, I'm talking about you. She's just, trying to plan her getaway. The great Kira. She's doing parkour right now. She's here. She's too quick. Look, she's made it all the way over here. What's up, Kira? Miss Destructo. She's just throwing stuff on the floor. Ay, Kira. All right, back to the questions. This is TGIF AMA edition on YouTube live, of course. I haven't I'm always going to get that wrong. We got tour dates. We're going on tour. And we're hitting some of the all-time great spots in America. Those are just a few of the places you can see us live. You can get tickets to NickLet'sGo.com, of course, which I'm happy to talk more about. Any luck finding Greasy? No luck finding Greasy, unfortunately. It's actually, I'm starting to lose sleep over it. I really thought that he would have turned up by now. It's very distressing. He seems to be stuck somewhere on the internet. He's been making contact through Twitter and other means very briefly, but we haven't really found anything substantial to locate him. If anyone has any information regarding Greasy Rick, please shoot me a text or a Gmail or something, because we're in a lot of trouble for this tour. We have we're playing with some bassists, and we're going to be able to make the tour work, but I really love if Greasy could join us, because he loved getting on the road and playing for people more than anything. So Chip says next Spotify release date. We don't have a date, but there is new music on the way, coming soon. I don't know how soon. Hopefully soon. That's all I can say. Nick, my wife is afraid of Gremlins. How can I help her to overcome her fear? Has she seen Gremlins 3: Dawn of Desmond? I think that would help really. If you've seen the first two Gremlin films, the Gremlins are kind of a scary species. I think maybe something that you could do to get your wife to be a little less afraid of Gremlins is let her watch Gremlins 3: Dawn of Desmond, introduce her to the species of a human-gremlin hybrid, which is a lot more chill and cool, not nearly as scary, more kind of just the type of person you want to spend time with and hang around with. So let her watch Gremlins 3: Dawn of Desmond. Let her watch the first episode of SNL. She'll get to know Desmond. She'll have no fear of Gremlins. I guarantee it. Okay, William says, this is a while back, but I noticed today you guessed it on the Kingcast back in the day. Haven't listened to it yet. Yeah, I watched the Shining TV series. Or not series, it was a mini series. I think it was a 2-part mini series. I'll be honest, it wasn't very good. The little boy who played and the Little Rascals starred as Jack. No, not Jack. Danny Torrance. And the one thing that I remember is in researching what that kid was up to today, I learned that he is now in QAnon, it appears. That's one thing I remember from that. But, yeah, enjoyed going on that show. It was a good time. Lobo says, Swords is very good. Thank you very much. You can get Swords vinyl from Needle Juice on my Bandcamp. And we also have deluxe CDs and deluxe tapes. Actually, guys, this is a good opportunity here. Let me share with you some stuff that Needle Juice sent me, some swag. This is going to be my first ever unboxing video I've ever done on YouTube. I received a box from, and I actually wrote on it because I do a thing on Patreon where I write a song with patrons, and I was going to use this as the thumbnail, but I didn't like how it looked. But anyways, I got this box from Needle Juice, and in this box I have Swords CDs, jewel discs, deluxe edition. It's upside down. With 18 tracks, can you believe it or not? We have the 11 original tracks from Swords, but then we have bonus Spineless, a never-before-heard song called Carnival, which you can only get on the deluxe edition or my Patreon. Grinning Like a Barracuda, a Sideshow demo, a Shadows demo, Sick live at the Bowery Ballroom in New York City, and Superior Rehearsal live from Halloween 5, I believe, or maybe Halloween 4. So this is really, frankly, very cool. They've got lyrics in the booklet, and they've got some photos and stuff they did from the Sideshow music video. And then if you thought, man, that's pretty cool, but it didn't wet your whistle quite enough, we also have Swords cassettes. Look at these beauties. Look at that. That's me wearing a mask that Tony Mraz made. Here's the back. The back looks real sweet. Swords cassettes at Needle Juice at NickLet'sGo.bandcamp.com. If you go to the Swords page, you can see there's a link. They have 3 different variants of vinyl. They all look cool as hell. They're in production currently. And then if you order your cassettes and your CDs, they've already arrived, and they will just ship them right to you ASAP. So I'm going to spend a few moments figuring out how to close this box, and then I'm going to get back to your questions. I'm answering every question tonight that I see. All right, let's see. When you come into California, we were in California in Halloween. October 31st, Halloween 6. And we had a great time, but there's no plans to return anytime soon. I'm at a Bedoin Soundclass show tonight. Wish it was Nick Lutzko. Please come to Toronto, Nick. I love you. Thank you, Chase. Love you as well. Here's the deal. I'm going to be just totally candid. We got this tour coming up. I pointed it the right way for the first time ever. We got these dates coming up, and really how well we do on these dates depends on where else we can go. We really need to make a statement. We're doing well. We're well on our way, but we got about a month and maybe a week left. So if you got friends in New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Cleveland, Chicago, Birmingham, Charlotte, Atlanta, text them and say, what in Gremlin hell are you doing? Why haven't you bought tickets to the Nick Lutzko show yet? And then we're going to get his ass to Toronto or wherever. Okay. I mean, I'm very far behind. I'm trying to scroll back up to catch up. I'm in the top chat. I'm switching to live chat. Hey, Nick, I'm not American, so I don't have a good question for you, but I just wanted to say you're doing great. Thank you, HW. I appreciate the encouragement. That makes me feel really cool. The Garden says Atlanta Strip Club to celebrate the end of tour. I don't think so. Did you move to LA? No, I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Hey, Nick, I worked at Spirit Halloween in Florida last season. They had your video in the training material. Wow. I've never heard that before. That's interesting. Thank you for sharing. Hunter Chack says he loves me so much. So thanks, Hunter. I love your energy. William Rierick asks, I'm a Stephen King fan, and honestly, I'm not a big reader. But you know what? I read his Entertainment Weekly article every week in high school and middle school because my mom ordered the Entertainment Weekly magazine. It was on the last page, and I'd read that. It's on the toilet, and I enjoyed that. I've enjoyed some of the adaptations of his work. Okay. Abisa 23, I would love a repress. I don't have a record player when it came out, and I regret not grabbing one now. Well, stay tuned. We'll see. Food Stamp Davis says, am I involved with the On Cinema Oscar special again this year? And yes, I actually wrote and I'm producing and I'm starring in the On Cinema Oscar special this year. That was a bad joke. I have nothing to do with this year's On Cinema Oscar special. This year I'm working on SNL episode 2, which will air March 25th. But of course, everyone join the High Network and watch the On Cinema Oscar special March 12th. Because it's always a highlight of my year, regardless of whether I'm contributing or not. What video games are you playing lately? I play Mario Kart on Switch with my daughter. She likes the rainbow levels, and there's a new Santa level, or kind of like a Christmas level. And she enjoys when I pick different Yoshis. She'll say pink dinosaur, green dinosaur, orange dinosaur, purple dinosaur. So that's really the most joy she gets out, is just seeing me pick what color Yoshi, and then I'll get halfway through a level, and then she's ready to change colors. My daughter is 21 months old, by the way. Is there a film from the 1980s that you go back to every year and watch with fond memories? That's a pretty good question. I don't know if there's any film that I go back to every year. But films from the 80s that are up there at the top of my list. I'm just going to make sure I'm not making a fool of myself. But John Carpenter's The Thing, I believe that's early 80s, correct? That I hit 82, that's in there for sure, The Thing. The Dark Crystal was a childhood favorite. Watch that. I rented that. I don't know why my parents didn't buy it for me, because I think I rented it from Blockbuster. That and Ernest Scared Stupid, I rented every time I went to the Blockbuster. I'm trying to think of what else happened in the 80s that was interesting. Those are what come to mind. What is my opinion of FanWorks? I've been working off and on a Call of Cthulhu RPG scenario called Songs on the Computer. I don't want to get a cease and desist Nintendo style. That sounds really cool. I would love to check that out. You mean like a Nintendo game of Songs on the Computer? I'd love to see that. And I have no power. I will not sue you for that. I'd be interested in seeing that. I dig it. Kyle says Kira, named for the hit anime Akira, is actually named after Kira from the Dark Crystal, which I just mentioned a moment ago. When are you coming to California, more specifically San Diego? I say this time and time again, touring is very expensive, very, very hard, and San Diego is very far away, and I think some of you guys overestimate where exactly we're at. Our trip to LA was a blast. We went to Universal Studios. We went to see Danny Elfman, but it was not a cost-productive or a very efficient trip, and there's no world where we're getting in a van and traveling the country for weeks at a time to make our way out to that part of the country. We're always going to have to fly, which is incredibly expensive. And, we've got families and kids and stuff, so it's just not really on the table. So I don't know what to tell you unless someone reaches out to me tonight and says, hey, Nick, love your stuff. I book for this venue in San Diego, and I want to pay you $10,000 to fly out here and play the show. Then we'll have a deal. But other than that, right now it just doesn't look very likely in the immediate future, unfortunately. Are you working on anything more Swords-like at the moment? I am working on what I call the follow-up to Swords. I think my discography is very confusing because I think there was kind of I don't know if you watched the Loki series where they have a split in the timeline. I think there was a split after Swords where Songs of the Computer and pretty much everything else that happened on that new timeline. And the next thing I'm working on will be a follow-up to Swords. It'll be a direct follow-up to Swords. It'll pretend like the other stuff didn't happen. It's on its new other parallel timeline. There are two artists called Nick Lutzko, and one writes comedy music, and the other writes sincere music. But I will be releasing another sincere project. I've written a handful of songs and plan to write a lot more. It's just I've got a pretty full plate these days. We got tour coming up. We got a lot going on with the next episode of SNL. Got the full draft written for episode 2 on SNL. Got a lot of cooks in the kitchen in the best way possible. Got a lot of great collaborators working on this one. Not going to spill any beans too hard, but of course I'll talk ad nauseum on the Patreon all about the process and the creation and the execution of SNL episode 2. But I think we're raising the bar once again. It's usually the name of the game here. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. Can I get a hell yup? Hell yup. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, I'm taking my time. So maybe just halt on the chat while I catch up. I'm trying my best here. I feel like I'm pretty far back. Hey, Nick, Ozzy here. It says Angus. Was wondering if your album Swords was pronounced as Swords or as S-words. I pronounce it as Swords. Derek Stricker says, great show in Los Angeles. It was the perfect way to spend Halloween. Thank you, Derek. Bless you. One caveat, Halloween is best way to spend Halloween 6 because there are 7 Halloweens a year. Yes, Molly, there are lyrics in the booklet. Lissa has a cassette. Hell yup, Lissa. Kyle bought a Hot Dad cassette a while back and haven't dug up the player to play it. I will say I have a cassette player and I haven't even played my cassettes, which I'm ashamed of because I'm excited. I'm excited to do it. I've just been busy. Bill says, where did you study music? That's a kind of a complicated question because I really don't have any formal education in actual music theory. I did take guitar lessons pretty much on and off between 4th grade and my senior year in high school from probably half a dozen different instructors. My first instructor was an old man that didn't have any legs or teeth, and he recorded all the lessons on cassette actually. And he was not very kind. I mean, I can't say he wasn't kind, but he was very scary to me. He spoke in a way. He would say things like, "Who learned you to do that? Who learned you to pick up like that?" because I'd never played guitar, and I guess he wanted me to strum down, and I was strumming up, and he would say, I can't do this, his accent, but he'd say, who learned you that? Who learned you to do that? But he'd kind of yell it at me, and it really just kind of scared me from playing guitar for a little bit. And then I started taking lessons from this other guy who, he was like a college kid, and I was, in 4th or 5th grade at this point, and he played classical guitar. And then my favorite guitar teacher was a guy, I think his name was Dave. He was at a music shop. He was like just a boomer guy he was awesome because he let me tell him who I liked to listen to, and he'd print off tabs, and he'd teach me how to play all my favorite songs, which at the time was Blink-182 and Sum 41 and all the bands with numbers in their names. And he would bring the tabs in, and he'd teach me the guitar parts and the solos. He was a really cool guy. And yeah, there's a couple other people that was middle school age. I took from a couple other people in high school. This one guy who was kind of like a thrasher guy, I think, maybe. Another guy who did classical. And then eventually I ended up with this very old man at university who didn't even play guitar. He played piano, but he was all trying to teach me music theory, and I just never really got the hang of that. I did take some classes in college. I studied commercial songwriting in college, but I can't read music well at all. If you held a gun to my head and gave me an unlimited amount of time, I might be able to figure something out, but can't look at just a sheet of music and read it right away. You ever do any mason jar home picking? I don't know what that means at all. Sorry. Any thoughts on coming to STL? I don't know what that stands for. Is that St. Louis? We tried to book St. Louis. I'll be honest. There's a lot of tours on this run we're doing that we reached out to, and we had no luck. That was one of them. If it is St. Louis. Has Dan Bongino bought his front row tickets yet? He said he did. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. Are you planning to stream any of your shows for your international viewers? There are currently no plans, but I would love to figure something out. Definitely would love to get another live stream on the books this year. I don't know when or where that would be, but I will say in the meantime, watch an SNL, join an after party. We on Patreon, we have over 30 hours in the Halloween vault from Halloween parties where we play songs, where we chat with fans on Patreon, and we also have soundboard recordings, but it's just so much material, more material than you could ever want, honestly. Did you see this Spirit Halloween movie trailer? I did a whole review of the Spirit Halloween movie. It's on my YouTube channel. It's called Spirit Halloween Movie, The Review, starring me and Desmond. I have at least 5 South African fans. I'd love to come to South Africa. That sounds like a really cool place. Calvin McRoy says, do you record at home? I record exactly right here in this very seat that I sit. This is the studio. These are my instruments. This is the space. I record using Logic Pro X. Kyle says he would lose his mind if I showed up on Cinema Oscar. I don't think that'll ever happen, but I did. Kyle, I don't know if you know, but I helped produce some music for the last 2 Oscar specials. The High Ranch and the previous one with the Wendy Kirby Empty Bottle. I did the music for that. Al Joe said they'd pay to see me come to Denver. All right, I'd love to go to Denver. Let's make it happen. Bobby Baloney says, any local Chattanooga shows? Maybe. Nothing on the books. We've tried to get a couple things going in the past year, and nothing's really panned out. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Togue RX says, Are you going to play Alex Jones as an indie folk song in Washington, D.C.? I would say it's highly likely. We played how many shows did we play last year, gang? We did 1 in Chattanooga, 2 in Chicago. That's 3. Nashville, Washington, D.C., New York City. That's 6. Knoxville, and Los Angeles. I was going to say 8. 8 was my guess. Of the 8 shows we played last year, we played that at every one of them. So I'd say you have a very high chance of hearing us play the Alex Jones as an indie folk song if you come see us in Washington, D.C. Chris Corbett says, who is your cue card guy for SNL? It's a pretty small operation. We don't have a cue card guy. It's just just a few dudes in a basement doing their best. That's all we got here. Duck the King II says, for the upcoming 100 Muppet Challenge, we'll be counting characters from the works, like the Dark Crystal, since the official stance of the Jim Henson Company is that they are not considered Muppets. You know what? I was actually Googling that, Duck. I appreciate that information. If Papa Henson says they're not Muppets, then that's what we're going to go by. We will have some moderators and some mediators, and Phil and I will name our Muppets, and then it's up to them to determine whether or not they're Muppets. And it's your all's job to come in the comments and let them know if they're doing their job well. And we'll see. The first one to get to 100 Muppets is the reigning champ. And I think there should be stakes. I haven't gotten Phil to agree to anything specifically, but I have some ideas that I'm really excited about, and we'll announce at the appropriate time if he agrees to the terms. But I'm very confident in my ability to beat Phil's ass at the Muppet Challenge because he's all talk when it comes to most things, but I know that he probably doesn't know. He could probably name Kermit, Miss Piggy, and Fozzie Bear. That's it. It's gonna be a short night, honestly. Kyle says, I give Nick Letzko 5 bags of popcorn and a little Desmond head. Thank you, Kyle. Wilga Man says, St. Louis show at any point in the future. No, the only shows that are on the books, the only shows that I can speak to with any certainty whatsoever is all these shows right here. All I can say is everything else we would love to do, but the answer is the same for any city that is not written here. We would love to do it, but there's just not. It's not, the opportunity has not presented itself. Thank you, Lucas, for rooting for me in the 100 Muppet Challenge. William Rearick says, do you have any particular influences that inspire your horror stylings in particular? That's a pretty good question, William. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I appreciate horror, and I love horror films. I referenced The Thing earlier. I wouldn't say that's a influence to my work in any real degree. I really, I think I really appreciate. I feel like it's a little cliche, but I think David Lynch is someone that I very much appreciate, but I'm hesitant to call myself. I definitely am a fan, but I'm not like a. I for some reason, Twitter feeds me lots of David Lynch material and content, and there seems to be a whole lot of David Lynch stans on the internet. And I'm definitely not a David Lynch stan, but I appreciate a whole lot of what he does, even though I don't understand most of it. Is maybe how I could frame that. That's something I'll have to think on, but I appreciate that question. Cleo says, want to ask yes or no? I say yes, always. Chip says, favorite Oingo Boingo song. That's really tough. I don't know if I have one at the top of my head, although I will say I really like Private Life. That's just one that came to mind. I really enjoy their first record. I think that their first record may be the only record that I know front to back and really, really got into. I'll say we saw Danny Elfman. Man, this phone still isn't charging. I saw Danny Elfman in Home with Fat Cat, Los Angeles, and I didn't know most of the songs. I knew I listened to his new album, but most of the Oingo Boingo songs were the later, like 90s, 80s Oingo Boingo, and I didn't know a lot of them. I was a little bit disappointed about that. Someone asked, do I like either Back to the Future or Roger Rabbit? I like both, I think. Haven't seen Back to the Future in a very long time. I liked it as a child. Big fan of Roger Rabbit, though. I enjoy Roger Rabbit. CC says, what's the Greasy update? Sadly, there's no update on Greasy. You guys hear that? I think there's either some paranormal activity or Kira is in the walls. Driver 8 says, what's this Muppet thing on March 19th? It's a Sunday. I think it's March 19th. I'll be debating Phil Braun. This is a long time coming. This is something we've been talking about for 2 years. I'll be debating Phil Braun on YouTube. We'll be doing a first one to name 100 Muppets challenge. And honestly, I agreed to it because it's something I could do in my sleep. I might even do it blindfolded. I might handcuff my hands behind my back and wear a blindfold because that's how confident that he doesn't stand a chance against my knowledge of Muppets. There's a few events, folks, in addition to all the events over here that you need to mark your calendars. March 19th, we'll be doing the Great Muppet Challenge with Phil Braun, moderated by Cowboy John. He's a guy who plays saxophone in my band. Frankly, needs the work. And Justin Gaynor will be helping out as well. And then the following week, March 25th, Saturday Nick Live. Saturday Nick Let's Go. Episode 2 will premiere live on YouTube. And everyone's going to want to tune into that, I'm almost certain. Craig doesn't have a question and can't stay long, but wanted to say that my Eminem is a Talking Head song is one of his favorite videos of all time. That's very kind, Craig. Thank you. Appreciate to hear that. Okay. All right. I think I'm maybe getting close to catching up here. Third and go F yourself. Coming with a lot of hostility. Says, love all you do, Nick. Your range of styles and humor is as good as anyone. Even with how hilarious the song's computer is, the sheer genius of the musical choices you make never cease to amaze me. That's some really kind words. I truly appreciate those kind words. God bless you. Faye Sylvia says, do you learn songs through tabs then? And I think, what I lack in being able to read, I make up with my ear. I think I have a pretty good ear, and I do a lot of, I learn a lot of music by listening. Do you guys hear that? Surely you don't hear that. This mic isn't good at picking up long distance. I need to go investigate. Excuse me. There is a scratching sound coming from the ceiling, inside the ceiling. Here, let me see if I can. Here, I'm gonna crank this. It stopped. It stopped. Of course it stopped. Well, I'm ready for it if it comes back. I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's crazy trying to... This isn't a joke. I don't know. At first I thought it might be Kieran. I'm wondering if there might be a rat problem. It's back. I'm being trolled. If any of you have something to do with this, I'll find out, and there'll be hell to pay. Thank you, Kyle Smith, for listening to and singing my songs like Joker 2. Appreciate that. Johnny says, dude, I've been listening to your music every day. Saw you in DC. It was great. Hey, thanks, Johnny. I hope you're coming back. We're going to be bringing the $100,000 band back to Washington, D.C. on April 4th, the 930 Club. Johnny, I'd love to see you there. Bring all your friends. If you have a mother-in-law, bring her. I'd love to meet her. Okay. Sorry, guys. I see there's a super chat. I'm losing the chat. I need to just maybe jump ahead. I've tried my best to keep up. I see there is a super chat here that says, hi, Nick. Greetings from Florida. Music theory didn't do me any good either. You were good on the Kingcast, and my dad listens to the Dan Bongino show. God bless you, Michael. I appreciate the kind words. I wanted to text your dad and let him know if he heard him talking about me on the Dan Bongino show this week. Third says, how many hours do you dedicate to making music a week? I can't imagine the hours it takes to get to your level, man. Sheesh. The truth of the matter is, I don't know how many hours I devoted earlier in my life. I will say growing up, I would have a guitar in my hand always. I'd watch TV and have a guitar and I'd be practicing scales or whatever. It was just something that I never put down. And that has not been something that I've done. My wife she cannot stand the sound of, we're trying to watch a show, and if I'm picking on a guitar, it drives her nuts. So the guitars stay down here in the basement. And, I'm a father of a very young child. I have band rehearsal once a week, so there's a few hours that I definitely dedicate to playing music. But I'm wearing so many hats these days. I'm writing shows for the internet. I'm writing shows for TV, and I'm planning tours, and I'm trying to figure out how to reach people. And unfortunately, the job of being a full-time musician, a lot of time, the music, the performing and the writing of the music is the easy part that you don't get to spend a lot of time on. It's all these other things that I'm not qualified to be doing that I have to dedicate so much hard work and time to trying to do, if that makes sense. Antisadrone says, have you been to Philly before? And I flew into Philly to go play an event at the Spirit Halloween headquarters in 2021, as ridiculous as that sounds. Which Spirit Halloween is owned by Spencer's Gifts, so their headquarters is the same place. And believe this or not, my parents met. Both of them worked at the same Spencer's Gifts. That's their origin. That's my origin story. My parents met working at a Spencer's Gifts, which went on to become Spirit Halloween. So it was destined that I would write this song about Spirit Halloween. Thanks, everyone, for the kind words. Was the song Software written about something in particular? It feels like it's about watching a tragedy on the news, but I don't know if I'm misinterpreting. I love your music. Hey, thank you, Jesse, for the kind words. I think your interpretation is spot on. That song kind of poured out of me. I went on a walk, and it was I think either the day of or a couple days after the Parkland shootings, I believe, and the shootings in Florida. I believe it's called Parkland. I think the fact that I'm second-guessing what the name of the school speaks to the validity of my feelings about the song, of how these tragedies come and they're so devastating, and then, over time you can barely remember the details of what even happened. It's just such these things just tend to repeat over and over again, and there doesn't seem to be much actual change, which is a frustrating. That feeling of frustrating was very much the guiding force behind that song. Jason says, is there going to be a Songs and Laugh tour t-shirt? I hope so. I don't have anything official. I need to get some new merch. It's a high priority. Don't have anything concrete yet, but definitely we'll share that all over the place. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, all the places. Molly says, can you name an example of a deep cut Muppet that you will be unleashing on March 19th? I don't know how deep cut this is, but one just popped into my mind that I could bet $100 Phil Braun has never heard of is Wembley. Everyone knows and loves Wembley. I'm sure I'll probably be name dropping Wembley on the 19th. Emily's made a great point that Phil's probably going to watch this and cheat off of me, and if he does that, I want you all to call foul in the chat. Those points should be deducted if he says Wembley, because that's my Muppet. Hell yup, Craig just got his tickets to Cleveland. Love to hear that. Very exciting. Craig says, please play software. I will say at these shows, we're doing lots of songs on the computer, Hell Yup, Incantations, all the comedy stuff. But we do play a lot of swords as well. We've been playing, the last tour we did Sideshow, Superior, Sick, Straight Jacket. We did do software at least once. And then we're going to be in sometimes, of course, and we're going to be playing some new swords we didn't play on the last tour we've been working on. So very exciting, Craig. Looking forward to seeing you in Cleveland. I hope you're able to come say hello. Damien says, is They Might Be Giants an influence on you at all? And I would say definitely. I love their music. I'm a fan of They Might Be Giants, and I will give it an unequivocal yes. I'm a fan. I can't pronounce your name, Trosophophily, but you say the twist in Fall Time in Tennessee was great. The costumes used were awesome. Thank you. Big hell up to Eric Parham, who starred as the person of the People of the Forest, one of the all-time star-making turns from Eric. Lavender says, what is my favorite Lynch movie? Oh, that's a tough question. I guess Mulholland Drive. I don't know. I think I definitely went through a big part of my life where I spent a whole lot of time trying to understand it. And I can't remember any conclusions I had drawn, but I just know that there's a lot of it that I appreciated. I watched his masterclass on creativity. And there's a lot of it that I really like a lot, and there's a lot of it that just kind of sounds like gobbledygook. But he's definitely a fascinating individual. Blue Velvet is another one that's up there for sure. That noise stopped, by the way. I haven't heard it again. I'll be over there in a second to get to the bottom of it. Only a Lad is, they played Only a Lad, and Danny Elfman played Only a Lad at the Hollywood Bowl when we saw him in Los Angeles. Horror trivia. Evil Dead filmed in Morristown, Tennessee. It's interesting enough, Bruce Campbell is coming to play at a place called The Caverns, which is a cave that hosts concerts. And he's coming and he's screening Evil Dead 2 and doing a Q&A afterwards. My phone is now at 5%, folks. This is not good. The chargers just refuse to work. I could run upstairs and get a charger, or we could just switch to the desktop. Oh, great. What did I do? My ass about to get sucked in this computer. is a travesty. You know what? We'll just cross that bridge when it's gone. That's the great Bob Dylan said. Oh, Forbidden Zone. Yeah, that truly is one of my all-time favorite Oingo Boingo songs. I really love the theme to Forbidden Zone. There's one song from the 90s that sounds like it could have been a deep cut from Nightmare Before Christmas that I really liked, although it never could have been on the Night Before Christmas because the subject matter is quite violent. Let me see if I can find the name of this song, or maybe someone in the chat knows. It's called Helpless. I really like that song a lot. All right, back to the questions. Nick, are you into any metal? Huge thrash metal fan here, and also love your music. Thank you, Oliver. Honestly, no. I don't know if there's a single metal band that I'm into or have ever been into. But I think there's a lot of fans of hard music that appreciate my music, and I say God bless you, and I'm glad you enjoy it. I will say, I mean, this is just, I'm probably gonna be made fun of for even the hardest stuff I listened to. Is I listened to the first couple System of a Down albums. Appreciated those when I was a very young boy. I'm getting to the point in the chat where it seems like all I was after this sounds in the walls. That was very interesting. Did anyone hear the sounds? I'm sure there's no way you could have heard them from over here, but very, very fascinated by what was happening. Ryan Ryborn says, "What are your musical influences?" There are too many to name, and it's always this hard question because you forget, and you really sometimes you'll get obsessed with an artist that then you'll forget about for a few years, and you don't realize how that subconsciously seeps into your influences. So I'm sure I could try to name some, and I'd forget so many, but just some of the people of the past 10 years that I know for a fact has had a profound impact on my songwriting and producing. Leonard Cohen, Peter Gabriel, Tom Waits, Paul Simon, maybe, at some point for sure. Really enjoy more recent artists, Arcade Fire, Father John Misty, Vampire Weekend, Ween, The Beatles, Bob Dylan, of course, Neil Young. I think Bruce Willis put out an album, or at least a song. Okay, moving on. All right, I got lost. I jumped way ahead. I lost a lot of questions. So if there's any questions that I missed that need to be answered, please feel more than welcome to ask again. Prime Bacon says, "Has songs on the computer changed the way you make music?" I think definitely 100%. I think everything I do, though, has... I think I've talked about this a lot, but Swords was an album that I worked on for 3 or 4 years, and every decision was painstakingly crafted and thought about, and there was... I would start to write a song, and then I wouldn't finish it until 3 years later, and I'd rewrite things and re-record things. And songs in the computer, on the other hand, I would go with the first idea every time, and I'd have an idea for a song in the morning, and I'd have it posted on the internet at night. And it definitely gave me more context to not labor over things quite as much. But I will say, as I'm working on new music, I think sometimes, I think for these joke songs, there's kind of a template, just like there was with Super Deluxe. I was working with other people's lyrics. Like with these comedy songs, I really have like these limitations of, okay, if this song is about Elon Musk and Saturday Night Live, for example, Let Me Host SNL, that's going to occupy, I don't know, a third of it, a half of it. And then also it's like, okay, what is going on with this character I've created? There are these lines that are very easy to color within. Whereas if I'm trying to say something about my life or my experience or an observation of the world, whatever, something that's more than just a joke or an extenuation of something that a character is doing, I kind of need to be more thoughtful, and sometimes it just doesn't pour out of me as quickly as I'd hope. So I feel like I have kind of found a middle ground in that, like, rather than spending, I think the big difference is when I was working on Swords and I would write a verse and it'd pour out of me, I would think to myself, well, I need to push pause until it starts pouring out of me again. And then sometimes you can't get in that same headspace of inspiration to where it just flows out for months or years at a time sometimes. I think the difference with this project is these newer songs I've been finishing within, some of them come very quickly, but then other ones take a couple weeks to about a month. And I've just been doing the work. I don't let myself step away and think I'll come back to it when the inspiration comes. I will sit with it and labor over it and tell myself, like, I'm going to have something by the end of this day. So anyways, I'm rambling. Nothing has a real answer. Every project is different, but I'm trying my best, and that's just how things are going right now, okay? All right, I think we're nearing the end of the night, folks. I just wanted to check in with you all and answer some questions. Tom Mance says, do you play Morningstar on live shows? And thank you. We do play that song sometimes, yes. Okay. What's your must-have road snack? I don't know if I have one. I'm trying to eat better, and gas stations don't really have the best options. It's a good question. I'm definitely going to need some, no doubt. Lavender says, do you like Genesis too, or were you more into Gabriel's solo? Definitely solo work. Didn't really ever get into Genesis. That Daisy says, what's the best way to give me money for Heart of Mold? Download it. Bandcamp.com would be the way to do that. I appreciate you, Dat Daisy. That's very kind of you. Faye Sylvia says it was worth it. I think Swords is a perfect album. That's very kind. Thank you. Really glad I released Heart of Mold on streaming. Been listening nonstop. So thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoy it. Worked hard on that album 10 years ago. Nick Roddy says, I was wondering about Morningstar and its allusions to Paradise Lost by John Milton. I've never heard of that, but I've heard of Paradise Lost, but I don't know John Milton. The whole album of Saturn and Swords have such deep philosophical and literary ideas present in them. That's very kind of you. I'm not a very smart man, so I'm glad that you feel that way. Was Joker 2 about how Hollywood doesn't care about the declining mental health of American young men unless they can profit off of it? You know what? These songs are about whatever you guys want them to be about, and I love to hear that. Sure. Thomas Roberts says, "Were you in Infinite Orange?" I was in Infinite Orange. It was my high school band. I was a young boy. Molly says, "I really appreciate things that are kind of created in the moment and retain some of their first draft qualities. More and more, that's the kind of thing I really like." There is something to that, Molly. I think you're onto something there. And I think there's a balance as well. I think sometimes things need to be. I think there needs to be a moment of stepping back and revisiting in a different headspace and kind of analytically thinking what's working here and what needs work. But I definitely think that the magic happens in just moving through something and letting intuition kind of take hold a little bit. Okay. How many almonds can you fit in your mouth? Probably infinity if I needed to. Draconiac says, "I need a meme for a name for a killer robot." What about... I'm going to say Danny. I know that's kind of a basic, boring name, but my daughter's been watching a song on YouTube called Danny Robot, Danny Go, about a robot. It goes, "I'm a robot. I'm a dancing robot. I'm a robot." And she's obsessed with it. It's her favorite song. So name your robot Danny. All right, we're nearing the end. You guys keep asking questions. Keeps getting longer. When writing lyrics, do you take into consideration whether or not you'd actually use the phrase yourselves? Along the lines of rewriting rhymes to use synonyms. That's a good question. You know, I typically, even before I started doing songs on the computer, I always tried to write from the point of view of someone that was more interesting than I am. So I never really got super hung up on trying to feel like I was saying something that was very true to something that I would say necessarily, because a lot of times I was trying to write from the point of view of someone that was different than me. It's too late. I mean, I know it's only 9 o'clock, but I've been up since 6 with my daughter. She hasn't been sleeping. Been up late, been up in the middle of the night, been up early. Hey, Dashell, you say I seem stressed out. That makes me sad. I'm not meaning to be stressed out. I'm literally getting off to go relax. Morningstar is Santana's name. If you guys are fans of Santana, you should listen. You should join the Patreon. You should listen to my song about Fall Time in Tennessee featuring Carlos Santana and Rob Thomas. No. Everyone's Spotting Waldo. If we have any if we have any mods here, we need to ban Spotting Waldo for saying that he thinks Phil has a shot, because that's disrespectful to me, and it's disrespectful to all of you who came here who are fans of me, because there's no chance in hell Phil can name 100. If Phil can name 50 Muppets, I'll donate $1,000 to charity. I don't think he can name 10 Muppets, frankly. Okay. Hell yup, Draconiac. Thanks for introducing your friends to my music. Thank you, Chef's Daughter, for enjoying swords. How badly will I destroy Phil and Muppet Off? I predict Phil will delete his Twitter account. I honestly, that's the only way this can go. He's not known to be a man who has much shame, but I think that this will humble him deeply. Okay. Can Desmond be featured on a track? I think Desmond's been featured. Actually, I just did a track on Patreon. We wrote a song together, and Desmond has a line on there where he says, "Oh, what the hell?" when Greasy gets sucked into the computer. You guys got to join the Patreon if you want to hear that. All right, guys. I think we're done. Bless you all. Looking forward to seeing you on the new tour. And we'll do this again sometimes. I have my guitar ready to go, plugged in and everything, planning on playing a song. But then you guys had so many dang questions, and they were so good. I thought I was going to go for 30 minutes, and here we are 1 hour later. So bless you all. And we'll do this again soon, I promise you. And have a wonderful weekend, TGIF. And so long.